Hey guys, welcome back to Experimental RC. Today we're going to be looking at the Motion RC Freewing F-16 90mm EDF jet. We're going to be talking about what my thoughts are about it after me having it for about a year and a half. It's a really good jet, but there is some things that I would change, so if you want to keep watching this video, stay tuned. So, first of all, awesome jet. Definitely recommend it for some people, but I wouldn't recommend it to everybody. Number one, if you're a beginner, this is not a plane for you whatsoever. If you're intermediate, this might be a good plane for you. Especially the size of it is pretty nice. Especially it has the really nice scale detail. I use the Admiral 6S 5200 milliamp battery. You can pick it up from Motion RC as well as just jet. And as you can see, it's on its belly right now. I didn't put the landing gear down or anything because it's pretty tall when you have the landing gear down, but not off scale. It's really nice. It has really nice aluminum machine landing gear, which hold up really good in rough landings. Trust me, I know. I've actually had a crosswind the other day landing it, and I landed pretty much at a 45-degree angle, but still flying straight. It handles crosswinds really good. I was really off the runway, but I was flying over the runway, and as soon as you touch down, it just sticks on the ground. It's really good. And also, it only has ailerons, elevator, and rudder. It does not have flaps, which I highly recommend doing flaperons, which pretty much means the ailerons both go down and work kind of as flaps and ailerons at the same time. So don't worry about it. The ailerons still work. So they both go down and you still have aileron control. So it's not like they both go down and you don't have any more aileron control. So I would definitely recommend putting the flaperons on there because it does help, especially when coming on a short runway and taking off on a short runway. Speaking of runway, it takes a pretty good bit of length of runway to take off. As you can see, I fly it just like this, nothing else added. I took the side things off. They're like the clip-ons to put the guns and things on like that. I will tell you later why I took them off, but anyways, this is exactly how I fly it, and it pretty much takes up most of the runway at one of our fields. The other field is a full-scale runway, so it doesn't take off much, but the other field, which is just a standard RC plane field, it takes up most of the runway. And I can't even take it off on the runway because there's like a nylon runway and then there's grass beside it. I take it off on the grass because I found that this jet does not really handle good with nylon, like the nylon runway. I believe that's what it's called. And the only reason I don't like taking it off is because the jet has so much speed that it needs to take off. As it goes down that runway, it gets a little like swirly around the end of the runway, and I don't want to like make a really hard turn, make a flip or something, that would suck. So yeah, this plane does come with LEDs already installed. It has 2 wing lights, a tail light, and also in the front, as you can see, right in front of the ducts, it has a red and a green light on both sides of the ducts, or the duct, it's not 2 ducts. And then it also has a really nice LED in the, it's not a single LED, it's multiple LEDs around the EDF, and they have a piece of like, it looks like plexiglass going around it, so it reflects really nice. So it pretty much looks like a turbine engine, like fire coming out of the back, which is really kind of cool. And then you have this really bright tail light, and also you have a landing light that turns on and turns off. When you put the landing gear down, it turns on. When you pick it up, it turns off, which is really good. The landing light helped me many times, especially in the one of my videos that I posted. It was pretty much like really late afternoon, and it was really cloudy. And I highly recommend not flying this when it's really cloudy because it's white and you really can't see it good. But the lights on the wingtips and the landing light helped me so much, especially when coming to land. I knew I was straight dead on with the runway because of the landing light. The aircraft comes mostly pre-built. All you have to do is put on the nose, which is magnetically held, and I've done a few modifications, which I'll talk about later. You have to put the wings on, the rudder, the elevator, and these little 2 pieces right behind the elevator. I'll get a close-up of that you have to put some glue on there and hold it on the other. But it took me about an hour to put together, like full on just focus on it. It worked about an hour. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And also you have to put glue on these side things. The I like rails that you put the guns or whatever you want to, like missiles on the side. I took them off because of one reason, because so you have to put, so the LED, I'll show you guys. So the LED is right here, okay? And you put the little rail in front of it, and when you're flying, pretty much in daylight, these are really bright. You can see them in daylight as well. But the only ones you cannot see are these, especially from the side, which you're supposed to see them from the side. So the little rail goes right there, and it covers it on this side. But it's foam, so in the afternoon you can still see it because it kind of shines through the foam. But when it's right there, you really can't see it during the day, and you can only see it from the bottom or top. So I took those off just because I personally like to see the LED from each side. But I'm sure you could just cut out the little rail and make it where you can, like, so the rail goes here, cut out like a little notch so you can have the light go straight out. But I just thought that it would be better to just take it off because I don't want to cut the rail, because then I'll be only holding on with glue from here and here, and it might just snap off. So that's why I just took it off, because I really don't need it anyways, because they have two versions. They have this which is the white version, which is kind of like the show version. They use it shows, air shows and something like that. And then they have the war, like kind of war theme, where it's just all gray, really nice finish on it. And then those are the ones you actually most put the tanks and guns and stuff on. But this one, they don't have the guns on in real life, because I've looked up a few pictures, and that's why I just took them off as well. So it kind of works. So in the hood, under the hood, not in the hood, there is a nice little 8 amp BEC connected to the lead of the power of the. It uses a EC. It's not an EC. Is it an EC5? Yeah, a really big EC5 connector for the 6S 5200 milliamp LiPo battery that goes inside. It has a nice sequence landing gear door as well. So when the gear doors go up, I'll show you under the aircraft. So when the gear doors go up and down, there are 3 doors total. There's the one for the nose, and then here's the tail wheels, the back wheels, or whatever. These are right under the wing. Now, one thing that kind of looks weird on it is, so the cool thing is when the wheels do come out, they come back a little bit, so that's what makes them look good. But it looks like the wheels are really close. Here's the back one, the front wheel, and then you have all this space in the back. But all this space is used for the EDF. So I'm gonna set this one upside down. It's probably gonna be a little bit unprofessional because it's all on the rudder, but I'll keep my hand under it. But so the air, you would think, would come through here, which some of it does. You can actually see the landing gear in here, but mostly doesn't go through there because there's like a wall right here. So pretty much here is just for looks. There's no air that goes actually in here. The air comes right here on these little kind of like as a grill on each side. The air comes from the bottom and the sides, goes into the EDF and shoots out the back. So yeah. The bottom part only has one servo. There's 2 Metal Gear servos under it. They work for the ailerons. And the tail section has a pretty cool like hinge system for the elevator. So you have 2 Metal Gear servos as well, spinning. I don't want to turn the servo while it's off, but it just spins on like a loop. So there is a rod on each one. The rod sticks inside of the elevator and the frame, and it just spins on that rod. So the entire elevator moves the entire elevator moves. So it's not like a standard elevator where you have the wing of the elevator and the back portion moves. The entire elevator moves much like the real jet. Now to the front, I did change a few things like I said earlier. So it comes off magnetically from the front. Now I haven't flown it in a pretty good bit of time, so the Velcro, as you can see, it just came off. The Velcro came off. I actually had it sitting in my room for a while, and the Velcro just came off. So I have to put better Velcro on there. But I did find this did come off once. As you can see, there's like a kind of like a point that goes on the front, and the point did come off because the whole thing came off. So I was coming to land, and when I touched down, the thing just fell off. So you might want to put some Velcro or even some glue if you're not planning on taking it off, but it does hold pretty good. But as you can see, it's kind of coming off, and the paint's coming off around it as well. But I would just recommend putting a really strong Velcro, not like the one I put on it apparently, or just putting glue on it, which that's probably what I'm going to end up doing anyways. Now, another thing is the pilot, like the whole cockpit is really nicely detailed. There's no instruments or anything like that, but what there is an awesome like panel like they use right in the front of the pilot that they see. The little panel right there, little green panel, the pilot is really scaled. He has like his jacket and everything like that, which is kind of cool. And then inside, I actually have a speaker in the back, which works for my Mr. sound system, which I've put in here especially for the jet sound, for a turbine sound. So yeah, does have sequence doors, like I said earlier. So when your landing gear comes down, they come down first. The doors come down. They all have a separate servo running on each door. So the doors come down really slowly, and then the landing gear comes out, and then vice versa. The landing gear goes in, the doors close really slowly, which is really cool. And the ailerons have a cool little hinging system as well. So the wing is shaped like this, where the aileron meets, and then here's the aileron, and it just spins inside of it. So there really isn't no like seam between it. It's pretty seamless. So pretty much the wing's like this, and then you have the aileron right here, and it just spins inside of it, which is really cool. So there's no seam. So if you were to spin the aileron both direction, you will not see like a seam. You won't see the ground. If you had it on the ground and moved it, you won't see the ground through the aileron and the wing. Now, this plane is fully made of foam. If you didn't know, it's fully made of really tough foam. I have noticed there is some like areas where I had it sitting on a stand, and the whole front started to crumble like a little bit all the way at the front. But that's because it has this nice sharp edge around it, which is probably my fault. I set it down with the battery in it, which is really heavy. But that's pretty much it on the aircraft side of things. And there also is a rudder servo, so the rudder also moves, so you do have a functional rudder. The how you turn it, like when you're driving on the runway or taxiway or whatever, the wheel in the front does turn as well. I haven't had a single issue with the whole gear system. I've only had one issue with the front landing gear, which it was actually no problem. I think it was just because I was going out really early in the morning, and because they just cut the grass at the field, and a lot of grass got in it and probably jammed the servo or something like that. But it works perfectly, and I have not changed anything yet, so that's good. So pretty much all I did is I took off, and then I retracted everything. Everything went up perfectly. But when landing, the only thing that came down was the door opened. Or no, the landing gear door did not open, and then the wheel just pushed the door out of the way, which all it did was crack one little hinge, but there's 3 hinges, so I don't have to change anything because it's so strong enough to hold it on there. But I did find out later that it was like the grass thing. It was grass in the hinges, so it wouldn't allow it to open. So make sure to look at that before you do end up flying, especially early morning, late afternoon. Like I said earlier, LEDs are really nice on it. Has the 2 LEDs in the front of the duct. It has the tail LED, the 2 on each wingtip, the afterburner, and the landing light. So it's pretty LED'd up. Also, last thing, the battery, I put it recommended in the recommended slot area. Didn't change it forward or backward any. Also, I did not put any expo in anything. Everything just normal. I didn't have to put much trim at all. In the maiden video, I did have to put, well, I actually had to put a lot of trim in the aileron, but the elevator was all good. But the first time, I remember the maiden, if you haven't checked it out, I have the link in the description, or a card will pop up here. I'll have it titled Maiden Flight. But as soon as I took off, it dropped really hard and it just kept flying. And later on, had the trim really, really, really high after I trimmed it out in the air because I was actually flying really slow. So I'm glad I picked it up then, because I picked it up, kind of stalled it, and it went back down. So I didn't have to, later on, I just went ahead and put the trim in center because I didn't have any trim. But the trim, I did need it mostly on the aileron because when I took off, it had a little bit of a right pull to it. Also, you see these wings are really tiny for the size of the plane. I mean, it's pretty much my whole arm length of the plane. I'm going to bring it more in the frame. But it's pretty much my entire arm length. And the wings are pretty tiny. So either you're going to want a gravel runway, or really long, not really long, but a shorter gravel runway or a really long grass runway. I've actually found a few instances where it would not take off on pretty, like, 2-inch thick grass probably. It would not take off on that. Has to be really short grass to take off. And if you do take it off on grass, make sure do not hold the elevator full back and give full throttle towards like the middle, because it's going to do what I did in the maiden flight. It's just going to take off and go straight back down, and you might crash it, you might not. But yeah, now, should you buy it? This is the question. This is the big question. Should you buy it? And the answer is maybe, okay? The answer is maybe, depending on who you are. But I'm going to kind of tell you pretty much what you should do now. If you're intermediate and advanced, you probably could be looking at it, look at it and see like you like it or not. You like scale detail, do you like it's the F-16, you have to plan. If you're a beginner, unfortunately, this is not the plane for you whatsoever. It is a pretty hard plane to fly. Well, take off and land mostly, that's the really hard part, but flying it is really easy, to be honest. It's pretty much, it flies like a trainer. It's really bad to say, but it flies like a trainer. But taking off and landing is the real hard part, and frankly, it's probably the part that could make someone not buy it and buy it. So I would definitely look into your skill level. If you can fly something like a different jet, like probably if you can fly, what should I say? Probably if you can fly a flying wing, like a fast flying wing, and you can fly some like slower airplanes and things like that, you probably could be good. And the reason I'm saying that is a fast flying wing, you pretty much have the knowledge of how to fly a plane with pretty small wings and really fast. And then a slow plane is you pretty much know how to slow the plane down good enough to where it won't stall and crash and things like that. Because this plane, if you have a small runway, you're going to want to slow it down a lot, but if you just pass the point a little bit, it's just going to fall, Scott. Because it is really heavy for the size of wings and things like that. Now, if I was you, I would definitely put the flaperons on. Like I said earlier, flaperons is really good. I have, so the flaperons go down, and I have the elevator to point the nose down just a bit, just so it won't balloon up, which I have a video on that soon coming up of how to set up flaperons, and also how to mix your elevator so where when you are flipping on the switch, it won't just balloon straight up, which I had the first time, which I didn't do it, but I didn't do the whole mixing thing, and as soon as I flipped that switch, it just went straight up, and it about made me crash, but I saved it. As you can see, I saved it. So yeah, it is a really strong airframe, definitely good for a intermediate to advanced, and if you already flown a pretty decent sized jet, I would definitely look into it. And also, let's say if you're intermediate and you don't know if you are gonna get it or not, go to your local flying field. Someone might have it. I know at my flying field, 2 people had it. I didn't even know they had it, and when I brought it out, they said, "Oh, I got it," and put it on their trailer. So ask around. If you have a local flying field, ask around, and they might let you go up and buddy box it and see if you actually like it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll have the link in the description if you want to get it. I have also the recommended battery and things like that. And for the receiver, I didn't use a long range receiver at all because I don't like to fly this plane really far because of the battery life on it. I actually got 5 minutes out of it, and that's pretty much all I can get out of it. Especially, I did pretty good pace. 5 minutes is good. And the other day, if I was flying, and I actually had it in the video as well, this plane can eat some batteries, like tear them up. On the Admiral 6S 5200 milliamp battery, I got about probably 5 minutes max on a, probably, no, not 5, probably 4 minutes max on really good throttle handling and things like that. Like if I was going to wind, I would probably slow it down. If I was going tailwind, or no, if I was going headwind, speed it up. Tailwind, pretty much completely off throttle. And takeoffs, definitely use some battery. Like I said earlier, it takes a pretty good bit of time to take off, especially in grass. If you are going to be flying it in grass, I would definitely recommend cutting it really low. Or if you don't have access to cutting it or anything, it's like a flying field, you can't do whatever you want to do. I would probably see if you can get any kind of bigger wheels to put on it, which I don't know if you can, but you might be able to, because the wheels on here are pretty tiny. And yeah, that's pretty much it. What should I, is there anything else? Oh yeah, I have one more thing to say. So the landing gear doors are plastic, which I believe these are plastic. One of them might be fiberglass, if I'm not mistaken, or they all might be. No, these are plastic. These are definitely plastic. Yeah, this one's fiberglass. This is the one that broke off, but I didn't do anything to it. I just popped it back in and it works perfect. And the ESC is a pretty huge ESC. I'll put the down there. I'll put what kind of ESC is in here, but it is a really big ESC. It takes up most of the viewing area right here. If you look down, you can see it. And this plane does do, so you have throttle. Let me set it down because you have to use 2 hands for this. You have throttle, you have elevator, you have rudder, ailerons, gear. You're going to probably use flaperons, which would be really good. And that might be it. Or if you want to turn your lights on and off, which highly suggest putting that in there, which I don't think you can do it, but I haven't done it yet. But if you can, definitely do it. Especially in daytime, you can see these lights, but let's say if you don't want to use them, you don't want to use the extra battery life, especially for the tail light for the afterburner, which pretty much uses a lot of power when you're going full throttle because all of the LEDs are on. Which I'll give you guys a close up of the inlet of where the air comes out. See, that thing comes off so easy. Like if you just touch it, it just comes off. But as you can see, that's the inside. And then the front is just made out of plastic. All of it's plastic. Has a little piece of foam just about this big right here where the magnets are held onto. But pretty much just glue it on. But if your car is this big, then you might want to put some Velcro on it. But if you have this much more room to put it in there, just glue it on. It's just gonna come off anyways. So yeah, but if you do glue it on, it kind of defeats the purpose of being removable and like really easy to fix if you break it. Because I've already broke this little nose piece right here. But all I'm gonna do is get a little bit of paint it up right here red, and you won't even know. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want to get this plane, highly recommended. If you are an expert, you should definitely get this jet. If you're intermediate, look in your local flying field, see if someone has it. Get a simulator, and I'll be doing a video soon about a simulator, but get a simulator and see like if you can fly a jet really good. If you can really fly it, then you might be going to the intermediate level, which you probably should get it. But if you're beginner, I would definitely not get it. That's my personal opinion. Definitely don't get it because you just don't want to crash something like this and this expensive, like one of the first flight. So for a beginner, I have a video coming out soon that is definitely going to be the plane that you should get. Definitely for if you're a beginner or like literally just getting into the hobby and looking for your first plane. Definitely, I have a video coming up soon, which should be good for you. So make sure to hit the subscribe button down there, and make sure to hit the notification bell so you can get notified when I post a new video. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Bye guys.